Well, in the middle of the square I stopped to think. There's still... I stopped to think? What? I stopped for thinking. I see, okay. There's still a lot of time till the departure, and I have nothing to do. Just yesterday, when it seemed like I was stuck here forever and had lots of time, even though there was actually very little, I felt a need to think and act faster. But now that I've got only 5 hours left till I leave this camp forever, I've not the slightest idea on how to spend them. I decided to visit Uljana. After all, even if she isn't allowed to leave her cabin, that doesn't mean I cannot pay her a visit. I knocked gently. "You're not welcome here!" An angry voice sounded from behind the door. I pulled on the handle and entered. "Hail, prisoner!" "Oh, it's you," Uljana said disappointedly. "And what, am I the only one who isn't welcome here?" I tried to smile. "Why did you come?" Who did she mean, though? Well, I thought that you'd be bored here alone. "I'm fine." "Where is Alisa?" "As you can see, not here." "Come on, why are you so angry? In the morning you're in a much better mood." "Angry? Me?" "Not me, that is for sure." "You have nothing else to do, so you came here, right?" "Yeah, my bad." I sighed theoretically and hung my head. "Well, sit down then." I sat on the opposite bed. "So, tell me something." "Let's come up with a way to prove to Olga that we did nothing wrong." "I did nothing wrong," Oriana corrected me. "You seem to have nothing to do with it." "Okay, let it be." "But why?" A tricky question. It feels like we've swapped our roles. I was suggesting a stupid plan while she was the voice of reason. Well, because we did nothing wrong. "What's the matter with you anyhow?" "I'll just stay grounded for a couple of hours and that's it. We have to depart soon anyway." She flopped down the bed and stared at the ceiling. "Well, sure, but I tried hard to cheer her up, but it looks like I haven't succeeded so far. Want to do something maybe?" "It's lunchtime already." I took a glance at my watch. "Yeah, right. Here's a job for you. Since I mustn't go out, go and bring me something to eat." "Sir, yes, sir." I saluted her and hurried out of the cabin. Recently I had started to think that finally something has clicked in Uljana's mind. Maybe the punishment had an effect on her, or possibly it was something else. And my attitude towards her has changed. Her wrongdoings used to make me feel nothing but irritation, but now there was also understanding and a sort of sympathy. A dick until the end. After all, I used to be a child too. But why all those strange sexual topics, you know? Like when he had that half-bro now, what I learned thanks to the comments. Thank you again, Andrei. I still don't know how to pronounce your name for sure, sorry. All those, so the rape scene, and then when he saw them naked, and, you know, what was that all about? I mean, all of this shit he was relatively, at least, for the most part, innocent. What the fuck was that all about then? Oh well. Perhaps if one explained to her what is right and what is not, she might be able to avoid many mistakes. Well, you're certainly not the person to do that. In the canteen I had an argument with the cook who refused to give me a double serving. However, everyone in the camp already knew about Uljana being grounded, so eventually my powers of persuasion won out over the dietary standards. Soon I was sitting at Uljana's cabin and tucking away my meatballs with potatoes. Just like a last meal. What are you talking about? Well, every death row prisoner has a right to make a last wish. Thus, my last wish is a lunch like this. To my surprise, the food was really delicious. What would your wish be? Well, to not be executed, of course. She laughed. You can't. Why? If you can wish for anything? Well, you can, but within certain limits. That means it's nothing. Well, okay then, it's not anything. That's not interesting. Well, I believe being a death row prisoner is hardly meant to be interesting in the first place. I grinned through my teeth. I wouldn't know, I never went through that experience. But if you think about it, that's almost my situation. This camp is my cell. For several more hours I'll stay under arrest, and then I'll face uncertainty, just like I would after death. The only difference is that I had more options. If I wanted to attend lineup, then I'd do so. If not, then I didn't. What are you going to do next? What do you mean? Well, after the camp. She looked at me in surprise. Back to school, of course. Yes, only for me leaving this place is kind of like crossing a barrier. a frontier, the end of something, and beginning of something else. A week ago it was terribly hard for me to realize that I'd been pulled out of my usual world and brought to God knows where. But then I got used to it. And here we go again. Basically, the only difference is that now I face not a sense of fear and horror, but a blunt, sinking feeling of uncertainty. I mean, he has seen shit now. At least a parallel universe, so what can he? I mean, he still could get into a parallel universe, which is way worse, so who knows? And you? Well, I'll find something to do. Something? She burst into peals of laughter. Yeah, what's the matter? You should have gone to a circus school to be a clown. Why? One can't help laughing when looking at you. But why? You always act like some kind of martyr, a new messiah for all the Russians. Well, there was quite a bit of truth in her words. I have my reasons, I mumbled and turned to face the window. What reasons? Various. Why are you so curious? Have you forgotten that I'm a child? She grinned archly. Well, half an hour with you is like a terrible torture for me. Look who's talking. You're just one really nasty-tempered person, that is true. What makes you think so? You're always deep and soul-searching, trying to find out something, analyzing everyone around you. I gave Uljana an amazed look. I would never have expected such a little girl to be capable of such mature judgment. And? That's it. At the very least I know how to behave myself. You don't. You really don't. And I don't add I'm grounded. It's a matter of chance, she grinned. Yeah, sure. If last night... She stopped short. Last night what? Nothing. No, finish what you started. She just opened her mouth when steps were heard behind the door, and a second later Olga entered the room. Ah, there you are. That's even better. She seemed confused and lost for words. Well, I reconsidered this morning's incident. It's not like it became much clearer, but it doesn't look like a big deal. So, Uljana, you're officially not grounded anymore. If only you did that right from the start. Hey, don't push your luck, Simeon. Did you say something? No, nothing. Departure's coming. Time to pack your stuff. Saying that, she left the cabin. Now you see how it all turned out. Yeah, I saw it. Are you going to pack? Yeah, I guess so. And you? It's not like I've got much to pack. Indeed, it was the truth. Care to help me then? Okay, sure, why not? She started to pull her clothes out of the cabinets and stack them on her bed. Watch it, you'll mess up everything. It's okay, I'll wash them at home. T-shirts, skirts, shorts, dresses, shoes, trainers, underwear. The pile of clothes was growing and growing. You really brought all this stuff here all on your own? Considering Uljana's constitution, it was hard to believe. Yes, of course, she laughed. Come on, give me a hand. We started to pack up the clothes into a big bag. I tried to pack things carefully at first, but after realizing that it's pointless, resorted to just stuffing everything in to make it all fit. Usually it works better the other way around, just saying, Simeon. At least there were no more clothes on the bed, and we even somehow managed to zip up the bag. So, that is it? Yeah. I looked at the clock. It was about 40 minutes till the departure time. You know, it was fun. Meaning? Well, the last week was fun. Oh yeah, I said absent-mindedly. Don't you think so? Why? It sounded sort of insincere to me. Well, I must admit that I'm not exactly walking on air, yeah. But what didn't you like? It's not like I can spit out everything at once. You see, a few moments were, how can I put it, a little unexpected. Ah, you're so boring, said Uljana and turned away from me. Well, what did you expect from me? You sound like you got absolutely nothing to remember later. Yeah, there sure is plenty to remember, I gleamed. Yep, that is what I'm saying. She looked closely at me. That made me a bit uncomfortable. What now? And me? Will you remember me? Sure I will. Everyone. Everyone. And you. You most of all. I saluted, springing up to attention with my hand over my heart. That's better. However, do I really have something to remember about her? Yeah, we had a lot of adventures. But who is Uljana for me? Just a nosy kid from another reality. And the second thoughts, do I really care that much about my situation now? From the very first moment I appeared here, everything changed tremendously. So right now, I was just curious what's going to happen next. Sure, the unknown is not the most pleasant perspective, but I must admit that it's a breathtaking one. Whether I will return to my world or not is up to me anymore. It's not up to me anymore. It means that I don't really have any choice. I have to adapt to the local living conditions. And one of these conditions was sitting right in front of me, smiling broadly. You know, you're not as silly as I first thought. Why would you think I'm silly in the first place? She said in an offended tone. Just kidding. You and your jokes. Alright, it's time. Let's go, Oljana said happily and pointed at the back. Yeah. I shouldered her belongings. The weight almost made me bend in half. I was thankful for the fact that the bus stop was just a few hundred meters away. Wimp. I shoved her stuff onto the bus and then hurried to get my own humble luggage. After some time, all the pioneers were here. Okay, the leaving speech. Yeah, we all come back, Olga. Don't worry. I even promise you that we all come back. Soon enough, everyone boarded the bus. I took the last seat next to Uljana. The first row was taken by Slavia and Genia. Then a little closer to us, Lena, Miku, Electronic and Shirik were playing cards. Alisa slouched in her seat alone 2 rows from us. There was no partner for her. It turned out a bit embarrassing for your neighbor. It's fine. You helped me to get ready and brought my stuff here. I looked at her closely. It seems this little demon had changed her attitudes towards me in a radical way. No. She was a bit... She is like that, you know? She was not dickish to you in the first place. It's a character. You were a dick. Like... Maybe it's your character to be a dick. Could it be that I'm a friend to her? An odd word that seemed to have lost its meaning for me ages ago. I can't recall any of my acquaintances, and when I still had them, who I could call friends. Maybe even back when I was at school. And now someone considers me a friend. Anyway, what does it all mean to me? I always felt more comfortable thinking about abstract stuff, distant perspectives, and global matters than of simple, ordinary issues. And indeed, during all the time I've spent in this camp, I've managed to become close friends with Uljana. She awakened these long-forgotten feelings in me. Because this is what it means to be buddies or friends. I smiled and tousled her hair gently. And what's that for? She puffed her lips. Just because. Pervert. Will you marry me when I grow up? Sure. I'll hold you to that. Okie dokie. Let's go join them at cards? Why not? We gathered around the suitcase that was being used as a table. Soon Alisa joined us. I was laughing a lot, cracking jokes and just enjoying being in a state one usually calls happiness. A simple happiness here and now. Right now, this bunch of pioneers that I've managed to befriend in this short week were 1,000,000 times more important to me than finding out how I came to this world and how to get out of here. In the end, should I even bother trying to get back? Judging by my appearance, it will just happen, Simeon. It will just happen. Ah, damn it, Mouse. Not now. We're in the emotional final. Thank you, Mouse. It was getting dark. The game was long over, and the pioneers had returned to their seats. Wait a moment, I have to drink something. Alright, here we go. I had no idea how long it would take to get to the district center, but it seemed like an eternity. From beyond the bus window, only pitch darkness was looking back at me, almost consuming the entire world, compressing to only the size of the Icarus cabin. Anyway, the surroundings were the least of my concerns now. I was enjoying the moment. It seems that this reality is completely normal. Does it really matter how I get here if things turn out this great? I became another person and met new friends. What are you thinking about? About life. And how's it going? Just awesome. Uljana laughed quietly. I don't have a place to return to, so I could choose any life path I want. Yes, we will part ways soon, and I will probably never see most of them again. But we will stay friends forever. A pleasant warmth flowed through my body. I felt like a kid again. Uljana put her head on my shoulder and quickly fell asleep. Sometimes you may feel tired not only because of hard works or sad feelings, but also because of fun, joy, and happiness. You may probably even want to continue, but have no energy to, with your soul demanding time to rest and your body asking for calm. I fell asleep with a smile on my face. I hope I got the good ending. It felt like I hadn't slept at all. It happens all the time. You just close your eyes and fall asleep. The hour hand makes several turns. The morning comes and you wake up, but it feels like you just blinked. I yawned so wide that I almost broke my jaw and jumped up because of the pain. Something was wrong. Though not something, everything was wrong. I was back in my apartment. But how can that be possible? I began to panic and I started to run around my room in the hope of calming myself down. Physical tiredness can often overcome an emotional one. My head was empty, fear and terror took over my whole being, and some kind of song was floating in my mind. Maybe a prayer, or maybe just an incoherent jumble of thoughts designed, if not to calm me down, then at least to distract me from my panic. It was about half an hour before I collapsed on the floor, exhausted, and fixed my eyes on the ceiling. It seemed like I had not gone anywhere. The old chandelier looked down at me unkindly with its dusty lamps, the cracks in the plaster were in the same places, and the unstuck wallpaper hadn't slipped down even a little. Was it really a dream? But it can't be. It just can't be. I spent an entire week in that pioneer camp. I was definitely there. I remember everything perfectly, from my awakening aboard the bus right up to the departure. Neither dreams nor hallucinations can be that real. Somehow I stood up, went to the kitchen, filled the glass with water and returned to the room. The blood was still hammering in my temples, but at least the terror of the few extra minutes was gone. I had just taken a break. I concentrated on the last thing I remember. It was the departure from the camp. The night, the bus. By the way, did I read that already? I get the feeling I read that already. Slowly but surely. No, okay, I hadn't. Okay, I had been positive that I would never return. Just didn't think about it. Anyway, I was prepared for our arrival at the district center in a few hours and was already considering options for my further actions. Or not? Damn it. I roared and pulled on my hair with all my strength. I can't remember. The last hours in that world merged into a monotonous mirage, as if drunken Renoir was completing his painting with a roller instead of a brush. But it's not that bad. Wait a minute, why would it be bad? On the contrary, everything is fine. I would even say perfect. I've broken free from that goddamn world and returned home. The most important thing now is not to end up there again. It might happen. Surely it could. But it might not happen as well. Indeed, I have nothing to worry about now. Everything will be fine. Obviously, I was just seeing things. Exactly, I was seeing things. It doesn't matter that everything felt real. Something like that just can't happen. It can't. I claim with all due confidence that it just can't. Modern science claims it's impossible, not allowed. I laughed loudly. An inner voice tried to stop the verbal diarrhea spurting from my mouth, but it didn't succeed. It feels like my speech and thoughts are separating to exist on their own independent from each other. My brain prompted me to calm down and try to analyze the situation, while my tongue simply tried to ease the stress by throwing new and meaningless words out into the air. Finally, I was somehow able to put myself together. I pulled the curtains open and looked out the window. The night city looked exactly the same as it did a week ago. The view brought my mind back to reality, at least to some extent. After all, if everything is now normal, and nothing suspicious or supernatural is happening, then wasn't it just a dream? Essentially, there are only two options now. I can agree that it was just a dream and calm down. Or I can trust my own feelings and accept that the camp, the bus, and the pioneers were real. Either way, whatever I choose, I won't get any answers. It's funny, I was looking for these answers for a whole week, or at least pretending to, and found nothing. But I broke free from that weird world anyway. But what now? The enigma remains, and additional questions have surfaced. In the end, I was exhausted and fell into bed. In a few seconds, I was snoring blissfully. Much time has passed from the moment I came back from Sovietgames, and a lot has changed in my life. The first week I was raking my brains trying to summarize in detail everything that had happened, creating graphs and diagrams, writing to forums discussing paranormal phenomena. I even planned to visit a psychic. In the end, it resulted in nothing, just as one would expect. It's no wonder. I was just a human being, but these events obviously were the affair of a supreme mind. If a caveman found himself in the early 21st century, even he would understand more than me. Well, at first you would think that a cell phone that transmits someone's speech dozens kilometers away by the will of God is a miracle. But one can get used to it. Maybe if you completed secondary and higher technical education, you would be even able to understand how mobile communications work. Most likely. It's a basic, exaggerated example, just as unreal as everything I experienced. I'm unlikely to ever understand how it worked, or who was behind it, and I doubt that I could get used to it if it were happen again. But one question troubled me ever since. Why? Why me? What did I do, or not do, to deserve this bad or good luck? Sure, in science fiction novels, wonders often occur to quite ordinary people, but that was just a matter of chance. But I was absolutely positive that these events have occurred for some reason, just like a random sci-fi hero who traveled 1,000 years forward in time, leaving him in the wrong time and place. But in the future no one knew him. Everyone thought that he was just a madman. But in my situation, they were expecting me at the camp. At least the camp leader was. How should I respond to that? Maybe I was picked out at random to be studied later on? Even so, the question why not only still stands, but rather becomes even more important. After not finding any sufficient explanation, I returned to my usual existence. But now I wasn't just sitting at the computer 24/7, wiping the F5 button free of dust. New interests came into my life. But what they were, I couldn't tell myself. And suddenly I wanted to get a higher education. Not to find a job, and not because it is necessary, just because I remembered how much fun I'd had during the first year of education. Chatting with course mates, days of light-hearted youthful fun, plenty of the energy that I had lacked so much over the last few years. A truly great man once said, "Any man who reads too much and uses his own brain too little falls into lazy habits of thinking." I don't know who that said. It's hard to argue with that logic, at least to an extent, that is true. An ordinary man will not sit around because he is lazy, but because a given subject is just of no interest to him. For instance, I'm not interested in knitting, so does it mean that I'm a slacker if I don't make a couple of woolen sweaters per month? But feeling too lazy to open a book, that is something I can understand. Although I like reading when I start thinking that I have to get through a huge novel, page by page. And even if it's interesting, even if it absorbs me so completely that I can't turn away, that part will only come later. For now, all I need is to get a book from a shelf and open it. But I feel too lazy. I don't know what exactly influenced me, but about half of my time, instead of the 5 to 10% of it from before, I was occupied with something useful. I read, wrote, studied something new, and engaged in sports. At least I exercised in the morning. Sometimes I thought that it was the influence of the camp. One can't rule out that possibility. For all 7 days there I was, participating in social activities, verbal communication with others in amounts that before would have caused terror and severe introversion in me. On the other hand, it's not so easy to change one's personality in a single week. Especially for someone as stubborn as me. But it's easy to point them in a new direction, show them a guideline. However, I'd never believed that it would be possible with me. Anyway, I enjoyed these changes so much that I tried not to think about their causes. What the hell? Nobody would worry about why if he managed to hit the jackpot by betting his last pair of trousers. In summer, I re-enrolled at university and started it in autumn. Time passed. I eagerly attended lectures and seminars and studied for tests and examinations with a level of enthusiasm that I wouldn't have expected from myself. Calling it now, he'll meet Uljana and she's grown up. The promised. I managed to become a part of the group with surprising ease. Although I was older than most students, it didn't trouble me. Maybe it's because of my natural immaturity, or changes in my personality. I didn't know for sure. Most likely the answer is somewhere in the middle. The joy of communicating with people, lost many years ago, returned. It was easy to get along with others. Their problems didn't seem so distant and trivial to me. Normal life, which before I had considered just a grey, depressing mass, started to shine with new colors. Sometimes it seemed to me that I turned into a doll, becoming one of a billion identical tin soldiers, standing in straight rows on a shelf in a toy shop. But in this shop, apart from the glowing showcase that sparkled with fancy writing descriptions describing new season's offers and Christmas discounts, was a storage, where all the defective products were thrown. A teddy bear without a paw, a firefighter truck in need of a mechanic, a transformer who looked more like a microwave than a mighty robot, jigsaw puzzles which assembled into trippy post-modernistic pictures. My place used to be among those broken toys. And while some of them could take refugee and charity drives or an orphanage, my only fate was being dumped and recycled again. So I couldn't help enjoying such changes in lives. That was a bit of a gigantic metaphor, but okay. It was the last lesson of the hardest subject this term. Most students didn't like it. Because of its difficulty and the hard-to-understand teacher, I suppose. But I found a kind of pleasure in dealing with tables, graphs, and diagrams. Counting the figures by pieces, I arranged them in columns and lines in the right order, summing up, subtracting, dividing, and multiplying, and using them to get a precise picture of any event. No number could avoid my attentive gaze. All of them would be captured, calculated, analyzed. Each of them would get an index number and a place in their proper cell. After its arrival, every digit will be assigned a bunk, work uniform, and off-duty clothes, and will be sent to perform its designated task. Some will be digging a trench from 9 to 5, some will march off to face the trends, and some will be trying to hit a linear regression on the shooting range. Well, at least you learned something in a Soviet camp. What are you thinking about? Reluctantly, I stopped writing and gazed at my classmate. Taking notes on the lecture, as you can see. Oh, just screw it. Just read the workbook afterwards. I'll read the workbook as well. I'm always astonished by you. What is so astonishing? You're planning to gain a first-class diploma, aren't you? Never thought of it. Don't tell me you really find it interesting. I remembered that just a moment ago I'd imagined myself emblazoned on a banner borne aloft by a regiment of digits and couldn't help smiling. You won't even need all this stuff. Everything will be needed, at least for general development. The classmate grinned sarcastically. I bet you never read even a single book in your whole life. So what? He asked challengingly. Just stating a fact. And you are always somewhere up in the clouds. He was right about that. Although I had regained part of my lost social skills, I often slipped out of touch with reality, dreaming of something else. You say that like it's a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with not reading books either. Human beings can't have only material needs, I said philosophically, mocking him. Oh, you're such a downer. The lecture was approaching its end and I began to plan out the rest of the day. Need to buy some groceries and later finish a project and send it to the client. And then I got to write down notes. And then in the evening I can just read or watch something. Unless someone phones or writes me. There are no urgent matters, so I can spare some time for my mates. Oh, 5 whole minutes to go. I looked at my phone and realized that it is exactly a year after I returned from the Soviet pioneer camp. My soul felt warmer from such thoughts, and I smiled blissfully. It's not often anymore that I recall those events. Obviously, one can't just forget something like that, those moments of something bizarre and extraordinary that are engraved in my memory forever. Come on, I want to meet Uljana now. Normally, even the happiest moments fade and just reminiscence of them remain, nothing more. But the week spent in Sovietnok was different. I remembered everything in perfect detail. The terror of the first minutes after waking up in the bus, the first day, heart full of surprises and amazing acquaintance, cheerful and carefree pranks with Uljana, just take the trick with the ghosts for instance. The best Soviet comedians would envy it. And the pioneers had such expressions. They were dying laughing. And you were a dick, I hope you remembered that. It sure would be nice to meet Uljana in real life. Well, she's not always perfect, she's hyperactive, and she doesn't have any idea about good manners, but one doesn't meet such a sincere, carelessly cheerful and energetic person very often. Maybe she gave some sort of that energy to me. Most likely. The bell rang, my classmate stood up, said his goodbyes, and left. I started packing my exercise books and textbooks into my backpack when I suddenly heard someone's voice in front of me. Here we go. Excuse me, is this the 34th lecture hall? There's a sign on the door. No, there's not. Gold's voice sounded offended. Someone must have removed it. So is this the 34th? Yeah. At last I closed the backpack and raised my hand, intending to stand up. I liked your old hair better, but okay. The girl looked terribly familiar. Haven't we, Yes, I thought the same. She looked very surprised. But I don't remember where I could have met you. Neither do I. What are you in? First year. Oh, still pretty much green. The girl smiled. Everything is still ahead of me. As if I'm already past everything. And what about you? Fourth. So, is it difficult to study? For the first year it is. I knew it, she said in an upset manner. But it gets easier with the time. It's always easier when you get used to it. Sometimes I'm too lazy to do things. Yeah, that also happens. Do you still have any stuff from the first year? If you share it, it'll be easier for me to prepare for examinations. Obviously I had nothing, my first year was finished a long time ago. But I suddenly felt a strong desire to ask for her phone number, so I lied. Yeah, maybe. But I'll have to check. That's great. We exchanged our telephone numbers. My name is Semyon. What should I call you? Uljana. And then I realized who this girl reminded me of. Exactly, she's Uljana, just around 5 years older. For a moment I was lost for words. What? It's an ordinary name. It was Lenin's name. Ulyanov. Yeah, okay. She said, pouting. No, just... Have you ever been to a pioneer camp? When I was a kid. Why are you asking? Wait a minute. Is this mathematically possible? She's 19. This was made... Yeah, okay, well, let's say this started a lot earlier than it was actually finished. Yeah, okay, let's say she was at a pioneer camp. In the blink of an eye, all the events that happened at Sovietgames flashed in front of my eyes. So it wasn't a dream. Although they were just summer camps, not pioneer ones. Ah, okay, I see, Uljana added. So you weren't wearing a uniform? The one with the red neckerchief? Of course not. Fashion police alert. She laughed loudly. But why are you asking? I was about to tell her everything, but then realized that she would just consider me a psycho. After all, this girl was much older than Uljana, I remembered. Maybe she just looks like her. I had a dream. And I think I saw you there. Oh, this is like the lamest... This is like the lamest. Okay. Déjà vu. He had a déjà vu. Déjà what? It's when one sees something for the first time, but believes that he has seen it before. Well, now that you mention it... Her face became serious. I think I've seen you somewhere as well. Definitely. Maybe it's the thing you just said. An interesting coincidence, don't you think? I don't know. Anyway, I'll give you a call. See ya. She laughed and ran out of the room. Appearance, behavior, way of talking. She's definitely the exact Uljana. So does that mean the dream is coming true? I can't help but enjoy it. And above all, I'll see this forever cheerful girl again for sure. I'm tired. Attack on Pedo Bear. At least you're aware of that shit. Every story has its beginning and its end. Every story has its own outline, synopsis, contents, key points, a prologue and an epilogue. And there is no book which, if you read it again, would not reveal new details you didn't notice before. Every story has its beginning and its end. Almost every. This one doesn't, though. Ha! Jesus. I have a few questions, actually, after this. So, afterwards. Thank you very much. After my letdown with the Slavia route, I'm happy that that was better. But why the fan service, though? Like, why the fan service? Why all the sexual tension in the air? It would have been it would have been so much better without the sexual tension. But I loved what he learned. That he has to be straight up, that he has to love life, you know, that he has to be a bit, you know, a bit more open to everything. Not childish, exactly childish, but you know, that he can gain happiness and he's outgoing and you know what I mean. But what was this about, for example? I don't understand. I don't understand. That is I don't understand. Really, I don't. What was this about? Well, let's do a very quick summary to end the Ulyana route. Whoops. So, let's do a very quick summary. Okay, I liked the route. Semyon was a douche the whole time, but he learned his lesson very late, but kinda on day 7-ish. But he learned his lesson. I'm happy, it's good that he all learned this. I don't understand what the fan service and the sexual tension between Ulyana and him was about. I mean, aren't we happy? We could have... All of that would have been okay. And in the end, they sit in the bus and she says, oh, will you marry me when I'm grown up? Yeah, sure. And then they meet. Everything okay. But no, why would you tease sexual tension between a 14-year-old and a... Okay, in this version he's 17-year-old, but he's 24, you know? I mean, in real life, we later learn that he's older, but it's also, why? Why? It seems a bit absurd why you would do that. This is only for fan service reasons? Couldn't people have lived without one route where Semyon doesn't get some a half boner on a little girl? I don't know what that was about. But anyway, in general, I like the route. I like the lesson he learned. It could have been really nice. He could have caught on to the whole thing way earlier, you know? He could have stopped being an asshole way, way earlier, in my opinion. But the end was right. And that is always the most important thing. Like, the end was right. I really liked the end. The end was very good. The way to the end... it was good. It was not... I guess it was not all what it should have been. But it was good. And the end... It's and the let's say it like this. Day 1 to 5 with Ulyana are a little bit like a drag because Semyon is such an asshole. Day 5 and 6 are a little bit of a drag because Semyon doesn't get it that Ulyana is actually a nice person and that she's just energetic and all that. And then on day 7 he kinda already finally got it, you know what I mean? He finally kinda got it and he wasn't a dick anymore. And I still don't understand the sexual tension. But I liked it. It was worth playing it, definitely. This one was worth playing it. So, thank you everybody for watching. Come back, what are we going to do next? Either the Semyon bad ending or the Lena endings, I guess. Yeah, that's what we do. Alright. And I hope I'll see you back then. Bye bye.